The night before my wedding, my childhood love returned with a shocking confession. My entire world was neatly packaged, tied with a bow, and ready for tomorrow's grand reveal. Then, the doorbell rang, and standing on my porch, under the soft glow of the porch light, was a ghost from my past, ready to unravel every single thread. My name is Daniel, I'm 34, and the night before my wedding to Jessica, 33, my childhood love, Sophia, who was also 34, returned with a confession that changed everything. I still remember that evening with a clarity that borders on painful. It was a crisp autumn night, the kind where the air smells like wood smoke in anticipation. Jessica and I had spent the day finalizing last-minute details for our wedding. Everything was perfect: the venue, the flowers, the guest list, all meticulously planned to the last detail. Jessica, with her infectious laugh and unwavering support, was everything I could ever want in a wife. We had been together for 5 years, building a life that felt solid, secure, and full of love. Our apartment, filled with shared memories and future dreams, felt like a sanctuary. I was in the living room, nursing a celebratory glass of whiskey, a mix of nervous excitement and contentment washing over me. Tomorrow was the day I would commit to forever with Jessica. My best man, Mark, 34, had just left after a final toast, reminding me to get some sleep. I was scrolling through old photos on my phone, mostly of Jessica and me, when the doorbell chimed. A strange time for a visitor, I thought, considering everyone knew I was getting married tomorrow and would be wanting an early night. I opened the door, and for a split second, my breath caught in my throat. Standing there, silhouetted against the dim streetlights, was Sophia. Her long, dark hair, once a cascade of youthful exuberance, now framed a face that held a mature beauty, lines of experience etched around her eyes. Those eyes, though, were still the same, deep pools of a sapphire blue that could always see right through me. Sophia, the name itself felt like a whisper from a distant past, a forgotten melody. We had been inseparable as children, growing up in the same small town. Our first crushes, our first heartbreaks, our first rebellious acts, we shared them all. She was my first love, the one I thought I'd spend forever with. But then, at 18, just after high school graduation, she left. No explanation, no goodbye, just a terse note saying she needed to find herself and would be in touch. She never was. She vanished, taking a piece of my heart with her. I grieved, I moved on, I built a new life, eventually finding Jessica, who healed the old wounds and showed me what a complete, adult love felt like. Sophia, I managed to croak, the name feeling foreign on my tongue after so many years. A sad smile touched her lips. Hello, Daniel. Her voice, still soft and melodic, sent a jolt through me, a forgotten echo from a distant past. What are you doing here? My mind was racing, trying to reconcile the woman on my doorstep with the girl from my memories. The wedding tomorrow, Jessica sleeping peacefully upstairs, it all felt like it belonged to a different lifetime, a different Daniel. I know this is bad timing, she said, her gaze dropping to her hands, which were nervously clutching a small, worn handbag. But I had to come. I had to tell you something. My heart began to pound with a frantic rhythm. A confession. Tonight, of all nights. A wave of unease washed over me, a premonition that whatever she was about to say would shake the very foundations of my carefully constructed life. I stepped aside, inviting her in, my mind already anticipating the uncomfortable conversation that lay ahead. We settled in the living room, the space that just hours ago had felt so comforting, now filled with an almost suffocating tension. The celebratory whiskey on the table seemed to mock the gravity of the moment. Daniel, I know you're getting married tomorrow, she began, her voice barely above a whisper. I saw the announcement in the local paper. That's why I'm here. Sophia, why now? I asked, my voice tinged with a mix of frustration and a strange, unwelcome flicker of curiosity. After all these years, after leaving without a word, she looked up, her blue eyes filled with a raw vulnerability I hadn't seen in years. I know I hurt you, Daniel. I know I messed up. And I've regretted it every single day. My mind flashed back to the pain, the confusion, the anger of her sudden departure. It had taken years to heal, years to trust again. Jessica had been the one to finally make me believe in love after Sophia had shattered it. Why did you leave, Sophia? The question, dormant for so long, finally broke free, charged with years of unspoken hurt. She took a deep breath, steeling herself. It's complicated, Daniel, more complicated than I could have explained back then. But the truth is, I left because I was pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow, knocking the air out of my lungs. Pregnant, all those years ago, with whose child? My mind raced, trying to make sense of the bombshell she had just dropped. Pregnant, I repeated, my voice hollow. Whose child? Her gaze met mine, unwavering, brimming with a desperate plea for understanding. Yours, Daniel, it was your baby. The world tilted on its axis. My baby, Sophia, pregnant with my child, all those years ago. The confession was so utterly unexpected, so utterly life-altering, that my mind struggled to process it. My first love, the one who left me heartbroken, had carried our child in secret. A child I never knew existed. No, I whispered, shaking my head in disbelief. That's not possible. It is, she insisted, her voice trembling. I was scared, Daniel. So scared. We were just kids. My parents, they were furious. They gave me an ultimatum. Either I left, quietly, and raised the baby far away, or they would disown me and make sure you never found out anyway. They said you had a bright future, and a baby would ruin it. They convinced me it was for the best, for everyone. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Peterson, strict, old-fashioned, and incredibly protective of their only daughter. I remembered them well, their disapproving glances, their subtle attempts to keep us apart. But this level of manipulation was beyond anything I could have imagined. They had engineered her disappearance, all to keep a secret, to protect their family's reputation. They sent me away to live with a distant aunt in another state, Sophia continued, tears now streaming down her face. I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. I named her Lily. She's 17 now, Daniel. Our daughter. 17. A daughter. My daughter. The words echoed in my head, surreal and impossibly heavy. I had a child, a teenage daughter, I knew nothing about. All those years, all those birthdays, Christmases, school plays, first steps, I had missed them all. A gaping hole opened up in my heart, a profound sense of loss for a life I never knew existed. Why now, Sophia? I asked, the raw pain in my voice unmistakable. Why tell me now, the night before my wedding? She wiped her tears, her gaze meeting mine with renewed determination. Because Lily found out, Daniel. She found out you were her father. She found some old letters, some photos, she confronted me. She wants to meet you. She deserves to know her father, and you deserve to know your daughter. Lily, my daughter, she wanted to meet me. The revelation was overwhelming, a tidal wave of emotions crashing over me. Joy, fear, regret, anger, they all mingled in a tumultuous storm within me. What would you do in this situation? Would you prioritize your wedding and the future you had built with Jessica, or would you immediately drop everything to meet the daughter you never knew you had? Upstairs, Jessica was sleeping, blissfully unaware of the earthquake that had just rocked our lives. The life we had so carefully planned, so lovingly built, now felt incredibly fragile. Sophia, this is insane, I finally managed to say, my voice hoarse with emotion. I'm getting married tomorrow. My whole life is with Jessica. I know, she whispered, her eyes pleading. And I'm not asking you to leave her, Daniel. I had to tell you. For Lily, she needs you. The moral dilemma was agonizing. On one hand, my commitment to Jessica, my love for her, the future we had envisioned. On the other hand, a daughter I never knew, a piece of my past I couldn't ignore. How could I walk down the aisle tomorrow, knowing I had a child out there who wanted to meet me? How could I start a new chapter with Jessica, while an entire chapter of my life remained unread, unknown? I spent the rest of the night in a haze. Sophia eventually left, leaving me with a small, faded photograph of a smiling teenage girl with startlingly familiar blue eyes. Lily, my daughter. She looked so much like Sophia, but there was something in her smile, a certain tilt of her head, that reminded me of myself. I didn't sleep. I just sat there, staring at the photo, the weight of the revelation crushing me. Every happy memory with Jessica was now tinged with the bitterness of this newly discovered truth. How could I tell her? How could I explain that the man she was about to marry had a secret child he knew nothing about until hours before their wedding? The first rays of dawn filtered through the blinds, painting the room in hues of soft gold, but my world felt utterly gray. The wedding was hours away. The caterers would be setting up, the florist arranging the bouquets, the guests beginning their journeys. Jessica would be waking up soon, excited, radiant. And I was a man on the precipice of two vastly different lives, neither of which felt right anymore. When Jessica woke, she came downstairs, her eyes bright with pre-wedding jitters and joy. She saw me sitting on the sofa, the photograph still clutched in my hand. Her smile faltered, her gaze falling on the image. Daniel, what's wrong? Who's that? Her voice was laced with concern. I looked at her, my beautiful fiancée, the woman I loved, and realized I couldn't lie. I couldn't start our marriage on another foundation of deceit, even if it wasn't my own. The truth, however painful, had to come out. Jessica, I began, my voice thick with emotion, I have something to tell you. Something that happened last night. And so, on the morning of our wedding, I told her everything. About Sophia, about the baby, about Lily. Her face, which had been so full of joy, slowly drained of color as I spoke. The initial shock gave way to confusion, then to hurt, and finally, to a quiet, profound sadness. She didn't shout, she didn't cry hysterically. She just listened, her gaze fixed on the floor, occasionally glancing at the photograph of Lily. When I finished, the silence in the room was deafening, broken only by the distant chirping of birds. So, she finally said, her voice barely a whisper, you have a daughter. A daughter you knew nothing about until now. Yes, I confirmed, my heart aching with guilt and regret. And Sophia, she's the one who broke your heart all those years ago. Yes, and she chose to tell you this, the night before our wedding. Yes, what would you say to Jessica in this moment? How would you try to salvage the situation, or would you even try? The wedding, obviously, didn't happen that day. We called it off, postponing it indefinitely. My parents, Jessica's parents, our friends, everyone was shocked, confused, and heartbroken. Explaining the situation was incredibly difficult, trying to navigate the delicate balance of truth and discretion. Jessica needed space, and I understood. We didn't break up, but we entered a period of agonizing uncertainty. She loved me, I knew that, but the sudden appearance of a child from my past, a child I never knew existed, was a massive blow to our future. She needed time to process, to grieve the wedding that never was, and to figure out if she could truly accept this new, incredibly complicated reality. Meanwhile, I had to meet Lily. The first meeting was surreal. Sophia brought her to a quiet cafe, a neutral ground. Lily, with her bright blue eyes and shy smile, was everything I could have imagined and more. There was an instant connection, a pull that transcended years of absence. It was like looking into a mirror, seeing parts of myself reflected in her, and realizing the immense void that had been in my life, unknowingly, for 17 years. We talked for hours, tentatively at first, then with increasing ease. She told me about her life, her dreams, her interests. She was smart, artistic, and incredibly resilient. The anger I felt towards Sophia's parents for their cruel deception resurfaced, but in the presence of Lily, it was overshadowed by a profound sense of paternal love and a desperate desire to make up for lost time. Sophia and I have also had to navigate our own complex relationship. There's no romantic spark left, just a shared responsibility and a profound regret for the past. We're learning to co-parent, to communicate, to build a bridge over years of silence and deception. My life is no longer neatly packaged. It's messy, complicated, and incredibly uncertain. Jessica and I are still together, slowly, painstakingly working through this. She's met Lily, and while it's still a work in progress, there's a fragile hope that we can all find a way to coexist, to build a new kind of family. This wasn't the wedding story I ever imagined, but it's my story. It's a testament to the fact that life throws curveballs, often when you least expect them, and sometimes, the biggest surprises come wrapped in the most painful truths. It's a journey of rediscovery, forgiveness, and the terrifying, beautiful process of picking up the pieces and figuring out what truly matters. What do you think of my situation? Have you ever had your life completely upended by a revelation from the past? How would you handle a situation like this? Let me know in the comments below. If you found my story engaging, please like, share, and subscribe to hear more about how we navigate this new, unexpected chapter of our lives.